Functional categories. So let's now look at functional categories of traditional grammar. We first see determiner. Determiner the or the, right? It is pronounced both ways, right? And the demonstrative determiner like this, that, these, and those, right? So they are all determiners, but there are other determiners too. For example, determiners, there are certain other words that include in this list, like definite article and demonstrative like this, that, and they have certain semantic properties. They determine specific semantic properties of the noun expression that they introduce. So they make it specific, right? Marking it as a definite referring expression. So when we put the or the before a noun, it marks it for being a definitive, right? So shall we take the car? Here we have used the determiner before the car, that specifies a certain car, and which is assumed to be familiar between the hearer, the speaker, and the hearer or addressee. Similarly, we have another type of functional category, that is quantifier. Obviously, it tells about quantity. The function of quantifier is to denoting expression of quantity, such as small, all, no, any, each, every, most, much, many. And the indefinite article a, which is also considered by some of the linguists as a part of this quantifier, as an indefinite article a to be a quantifier, which one which quantifies over a single entity. For example, we say a car. Then we have pronouns, very important category. Pronouns, these are the items said to stand in place of. We generally define a pronoun that is used in place of a noun. So pro mean prefix, it's a prefix, and refer back to a certain expression which is called its antecedent. For example, if we say Ali has done his work, so we say his, which is a pronoun, refers to the noun Ali, which is its antecedents. Antecedent is the noun or entity which a pronoun refers to. Types, a number of different types of pronoun found in English, for example, and other language, he, his, him, they're all pronouns. Pronoun has more forms than a noun. Let's now look at word one, which is also considered as a pronoun, but it has certain other functions or properties other than the commonly known pronouns. For example, John has a red car and Jim has a blue one. So if you look at this one, it has no lexical semantic content of its own here in this sentence, rather takes its content from the antecedent. Here the antecedent of one is the car that John has, right? Similarly, morphological perspective, but when we look at this morphologically, pronoun one behaves like a regular count noun, because like a count noun, boy and boys, book and books, one is singular and it has a plural on the same basis, ones. For example, we have the word like a sentence like, I'll take the green apples if you haven't got any red ones. So you see that ones is replaced with apples, so it's the plural for the noun. Status of one, it's noun and pronoun or pronominal noun, we call it. So remember that we'll be discussing it in later chapters. Pronoun some. Similarly, when we look at pronoun sentence like many miners were rescued but some died. So some replacing the word miners, right? The word some seems to function as a Q pronoun, a quantifier pronoun, or pronominal quantifier. Similarly, we have those, these apples are ripe, but those aren't. So the word those seems to be a determiner pronoun, a pronominal determiner. It has the function of a determiner in this sentence. Similarly, personal pronouns as demonstrative determinative pronouns. So if you look at this, that the personal pronouns can also have the function of determiner. For example, we have the sentence, we Republicans don't trust you Democrats. So here we is modifying Republicans and you is modifying Democrats. So here they have the function of a determiner. So we and you could be seen as determining a determiner, modifying the noun Democrat and the Republican. Auxiliary verbs, the semantic property of auxiliary verbs, they have certain grammatical properties such as tense, mood, aspect, etc. Similarly, syntactic properties, unlike lexical verbs, they can be inverted with their subject in question especially. So if we have a sentence like it is raining, we can have the auxiliary inverted, is it raining? So this is the special property of the auxiliary verb. Now let's look at some of the examples of the auxiliary verbs in the following sentences. He has or had gone. So, and she is or was staying at home. So A and B sentence are showing perfect progressive aspect. The auxiliary in these sentences showing present perfect and progressive aspect. They are or were taken away for questioning. So this sentence shows a passive voice auxiliary. He really did say. So in this sentence, an expletive or dummy auxiliary, do or does, is used. It has lexical semantic, no lexical semantic content. Similarly, you can, could, help us. All these can, could, may, might, shall, should, they are all modal auxiliaries, right? So these are different categories or different constituent of the auxiliary verb. Auxiliaries in sentences which have been discussed are said to belong to the category T, that is tense marked auxiliary, because all these auxiliaries when used, they tell us about the tense marked aspect of the sentence. So is the infinitive particle to. So whenever we have this infinitive particle to, we get something of the same. For example, they are now expecting the president to be impeached tomorrow. So if you look at this to, the to gives us the meaning of future, that is equal to will. So in the sentence, infinitival to seems to have future time reference. That sentence can have the same meaning. The act of impeachment will take place at some time in the future. So you see that when we bring an infinitival to, it gives us the meaning of future. Why we can use the word tomorrow in the to clause? So that's why we in the first class we have used the word tomorrow with the to clause, not before it. Infinitival to seems to have much the same function as the auxiliary will. In they are now expecting that the president will be impeached tomorrow. So the president will be impeached tomorrow and is to impeach tomorrow have similar meaning. The infinitival to is an infinitival tense marker and so belong to the same category T as present, past tense auxiliary such as is and was. So since to can give the meaning of futurity as is, are, or other tense marker tell us, so it is also called a tense marker. The difference between auxiliaries and infinitival to is that most auxiliaries overtly inflect for present past tense. For example, we know is refers to present, was refers to past, though this is not true of the invariable auxiliaries like must and ought. You cannot be sure it refers to, unless it is used in a sentence, that it refers to present or to past, whereas infinitival to is invariable in form. So we can thus say that an auxiliary like will is a finite T constituent, whereas infinitival to is a non-finite T. Will refers to a future, because will has the meaning of future, so that is why we call it finite. And so far as to is concerned, to is non-finite, because it does not as clearly tell us about future as will tell us. So these auxiliary verbs and these functional categories tell us a lot of things about the sentence, and they are on their own very important element of the sentence.